Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's KD section. And for today, our presenter is Nuruddin Ajani. He's a product manager and also a project manager. Today, we're talking about competitive market analysis as a tool of product management. Yeah, Nuruddin, thank you for joining us. You can go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Patrick. So good morning, everyone. So today, as you said, I'll be talking about competitive market analysis as a tool of product management. When we hear about competitive market analysis, what comes to our mind? I mean, naturally, it's something like we are in a market or a particular industry, whether we are in finance, we are in tech, we're in agricultural industry. This can be used for any industry. But since we're in a tech hub, we can, we can talk more about the tech. So let's say, for example, within a tech industry, we are trying to work on a particular product. Believe me, that product you are working on, it's possible that some people have worked on it before, or there's some products that are actually on ground. Maybe they've not been able to cover the all possible user base. So that's what I mean by competitive market analysis. So this is very important before you embark on any products. Either you're a team of developers that are thinking of starting a new startup, maybe a company on a particular focus on a particular product. So before you venture into it, before you start writing code or even before you even start having a product backlog and some other things like that. So what is very important is for you to carry out competitive market analysis. So what am I going to be talking about? So I'm going to be talking under some things, like 3 things. The first thing is that you should know your market size. Know your market size. Then the second thing is, how do you find your competitors? Why the third one and the last one is, how do you monitor your competitors? You know who your competitors are, so how do you relate with them? How do you monitor them? These are very, very important. Either you're an entrepreneur or you're a product manager for a particular company. So for this particular presentation, I'll be using a case notes. So the case notes is that, let me introduce you to this scenario. Like, imagine you and your team are working on creating a startup in Lagos, and what you want your startup to be is you want to create an hailing cab company. You want to build an app whereby people can easily, they can easily order for ride. So that is the scenario we are going to be referred to as we move on in this presentation. So if I say you should know your market size, what do I mean? Like, for example, now I said that we are using scenario of you starting a company focusing on building an hailing cab company. And maybe you have an app where people can order for their rides from their home and the cab will come and meet them in front of their house. Take them to where they are going or something like that. So how do you know your market size for this kind of product? The first, there are 2 major approaches that are widely used. The first one is top-down approach. What do you mean by top-down approach? Yeah, top-down approach is very optimistic in the sense that, for example, now I can say, okay, maybe based on some data I get from Google, I can say, okay, for example, in Lagos, we are having about, let's just say about 500,000 people are the already people that are using products like that. I mean, people that actually have either Uber or Taxify or even other hailing cab application that have it on their phone for them to order for ride. Maybe the customer base already for that product is about 400,000. We may think that, okay, based on what we are trying to solve and want to enter that market better, maybe you even have resources to even enter the market. You may assume that, okay, what if you can just get 10% of 500,000 people? I think that is like 50,000 people. Well, okay, that is very good for a start. Yes, it looks like a very something very sweet that you just assume that you want to get a certain percentage of the market size. But this is optimistic, but it can be delusional sometimes. So the second approach that is being used again is bottom-up approach. This is very conservative because you are trying to be realistic here. You understand? Let's say, for example, now, you can't compare when Uber first came in. After Uber came into Nigeria, they've been in Europe before. When they came to Nigeria, they were the only one before the other cab company came around. I'm sure some other people have tried building some other cab app, but along the way, the product may be killed or it will fail before it will start. So something like that. So talking about bottom-up approach, we are looking at what based on the current trend. You understand? What is the trend in the market at the moment? So what are people actually even like? What is the trend in terms of, are people even using the early cap company? Is there any is there any advancements in this line of products? So that is what bottom-up approach. So using the bottom-up approach, we actually to help us along with in having a realistic data to work with. So right, the second thing I said I'm going to talk about is how do you find your competitors? How do you find your competitors? Like you said, the scenario we are using in this case is that we are building an alien cap company. We want to build an app in this company, so whereby people can order for their rides from their home, and whenever they get to where they are going, they can they can cancel the ride and some other things like that. So the first thing you're going to do as a product manager or even as an entrepreneur, so the first thing you're going to do is you need to capture your competitors. You need to go over there and get to know who are your competitors. And there are several ways you can know. One of the first way you can know is that if you go online, if you go on Twitter or you go on maybe on Quora, you understand Reddit. We don't normally use Reddit here like that. Even if you go on Facebook, especially all those Facebook conversational group chats, you see there will be a lot of conversation people will be talking about. From there maybe you just search for your products. I mean, what you are trying to solve, problem you are trying to solve. You then listen to some conversation on that is what people are actually, let's say, for example, say, okay, there is rain. I want to leave my house. How can I get to where I'm going? So somebody can answer them by saying, why can't you use Uber? Why can't you use Taxify? These are the ways you can actually know your competitors. Or you can simply go to Google. You understand? If you say Uber or something, and you see a lot of companies that are actually in that line on Google. So these are the way you can capture your competitors. And when you get to know your competitors like this, definitely in this particular industry, we have some people that are very noticeable to everybody. People know that this Uber is there in this industry. Taxify is there in this industry. And some other company like that. Those are your known customers. Your known customers, they're also in line of the product you are trying to do. They are related to maybe your known customers sometimes. It can even be another company that actually, their own is not even something like cab. It may be like a mini shuttle or some other things like that. So what you have to do as a product manager or as an entrepreneur is that you should gather those lists. You should gather your known list, your unknown list. So the second thing you have to do is that among those lists, I want you to categorize this kind of list you gather for the alien cab company we mentioned. Like for the known, we have the Uber, we have the Bolt, we have the Lyft, DoorDash, Oga Taxi, unknown, Palm Drive, RideMe, Ola, Tekra, and Rexon. So when you gather that your known and unknown list, the second thing you have to do is that we want you to categorize it under, okay, this particular competitors. Is it direct? Is it my direct competitors? Is it my indirect competitors? Is it my potential competitors? Is it my substitute competitors? All these ones are very important because if you don't know all those competitors, like direct competitors now, both of you are over the same products and you reach the same target market. It's very important for you to monitor them because if they come up with the new features that that this particular feature is something that will be used widely in the market, or maybe you as a company are even working on that. You have to work on your speed because whoever gets to the market in time first, have a tendency of getting more customer in that line than you. That's why you have to be following up with some competitors. What about indirect competitors? They are competitors whose products and service are different from yours, but potentially could satisfy the same need and reach the same goal. These are very, very important too, because if you are not careful, let's say for example now, you're in a particular industry. I can use food for example here. Let's say for example, you are selling smoothies and sandwich, something like that. Your indirect competitors can be somebody selling juice. Smoothie is involved food. You have to blend foods. You are trying to promote they're eating healthy meal. You understand? So, but somebody selling juice is your indirect competitors. If you don't plan yourself very well, why people don't think of your food, they can go there and you can lose your customer to that kind of person. So that's another thing. Then these are competitors that offer an alternative service or product you offer. They also have potential competitors. So after you might have after you might have done this, we said that you try to gather the list of your competitors, you put them under what I just mentioned now. So the third thing that you have to do that is very important is that how do you understand your competitors? How do you understand the first thing you have to do that you have to understand your competitors' user base. Let's say, for example, now talking about the Uber, talking about the Taxify. I've heard about a lot of time that people say that Uber can be more expensive than Taxify. You understand? But some people feel like they want to go for Uber because they know that how do I even say it? That Uber is some, when you order for Uber, the driver you see there, they behave well and some other things like that. Even for example, now like in Ibadan, although we are talking about the products in Lagos, talking about the Uber, talking about the Taxify and some other industry in that line, they have sometimes they have the same user base customer, but there are some set of people, like people on the mainland, you understand, use Taxify a lot. For people on the island, they use Uber a lot. So you need to understand your competitors' user base. The third one you have to do is the second one, you need to understand your competitor core product team. There is this general says in the products that if your product team, when we are talking about the product team this time around, we are talking about the engineers, you understand? We are talking about the product manager, product designers. If you have a strong product team in your company, there is a very high chance for you to be a very good product. And if we are able to be a very good product, you have a more chance of being more successful company in the first place. So that is something you have to understand. So you need to understand your competitor core product team. So if your own product team is not exceptional, if they can't do anything special, you understand, and your competitor can do far way better, definitely something you have to think about. Because we've heard about a lot about some company. Let's say, for example, now a company that they are doing so well, and a new company is coming around, but they are coming with a very good core product team. That company may buy that particular company because of that, because they want to integrate those teams inside their own company so that they can move forward. So these are the companies that know the essentiality of what? Of the good product team. So the third one is the speed. Like I mentioned earlier, let's assume that you are monitoring your competitors. There's this particular feature that you are trying to work on, you want to ship out in your company. And there's some other competitor that are actually working on that particular feature now, which is very, very important to customer needs. If your speed is not being there, they have a tendency of shipping out that particular product out before you even think of it. So imagine if you don't do that, if they are able to get that feature out there before you even get there, so they have a tendency of being more successful than you in that line. So why the fourth one is the brand. Brand is very essential. We're talking about we building our own alien cap company right from scratch, and there's maybe some loophole that I want to fill in. But at the same time, we should understand that there are some companies that have been there already and they are doing so well, like Uber and like Taxify. That is the brand name. People have been using them, they trust them. So those are another thing you have to understand about your company. Why the final one is the design. How do you design your app? You understand? How do you design your web page? How the navigation, is it very easy for people to go over there? Is it user friendly and some other things like that? Even if your product is not even something like a digital, it can even be physical. Let me give you one example. If you observe Apple very well, you can see that Apple is they take a lot of focus more on how the products look like, design of the products. Even checking about the iPhone X, iPhone, whatever it is, each new product they are bringing to board come with a new design, you understand? They focus on design, and it has been doing so well for them. So that's another thing you have to consider as a product manager. So the last one that you have to do, which is very important, is okay, we mentioned that you'll be able to gather your list of competitors, your known and unknown. You know who your direct competitors is, you know who's your potential or other things like that. So the last thing you have to do as a product manager or as a developer that is building a solo product, and that sometimes you can be in a startup and you just want to gather some things together before working on your MVP, and you're not even involving any friend maybe before you even call on people and you start building a better product. So these are things you have to consider. Your own dimension can be in many ways. You can see on my x-axis, like on my top, I have dimension, Uber, Taxify, and price, app design. So let's just assume that you're having a graph whereby on your x-axis, you are talking about the name of those companies. While on your y-axis, you are talking about the dimension. This is what I'm trying to say. So what feature table is all about is that you are just trying to compare all those competitors. For example, now me, I choose out of my competitors, I choose Uber, Taxify, and Oga Taxi. I named the name of our company Lade. You understand? That is the name of the company we are trying to build, the alien cap company. We call it Lade. So now, we have all these companies now. I'm trying to compete in against Lade, the company we are trying to build. Now, what are the dimensions? I just use this dimension. Your own can be different. So dimension I use is price. If I order for Uber for the same distance, for the price for Uber is 4,000 naira. For Taxify is 3,500. For Oga Tax is 2,800. For Lade that we are trying to build, based on our estimate, how do I call it? Estimated budget, we say the price of Lade will be 3,600. Or the app design. The app design for Uber is very good. Taxify is good. Oga Taxi is not so good. Lade is good. In terms of rider responsiveness, very fast. Taxify is fast. Oga Taxi is slow. Lade is very fast. Customer support. Uber is fair. Taxify is better. Oga Taxi is poor. While Lade is good. When you look at this particular product, you can see that Lade as a company has a very good chance of entering this company, of entering this particular industry. You understand? So that is what we mean by putting up your feature table. Your own feature table, the characteristic or what the dimension or the metrics or what you're trying to measure might be totally different. This is just an example for us to use. Or the last one, which is very, very important. So you know your competitors this time around. How do you monitor your competitors? If you don't keep monitoring your competitors, and they were able to slip out of your view, they can come back and bite you, which is very, very important. Let's say you're even working a company, a company that is functioning well, and all you have to do is just maybe debugging some problem or maybe you are debugging some bugs, or you are trying to build in a new product, a new features, or you understand, you are even trying to maintain the features you have already. So the first thing you have to do as a product manager, you understand, Crunchbase should be one of the essential, one of the websites that you need to be visiting. You understand? For example, now let's say I'm a product manager for Taxify. Uber is my competitor. You understand? I need to check to know when was the last time they have seed investments. You understand? Did they just get a new seed investment? You know that if they actually have a new seed investment or they're having this more and more, it means that they have more money in their pool. And they have more money in their pool, they have a tendency of running a very big advert that can make people know them better. They have a tendency of hiring more expertise, you understand, forming a very more a good product team that can work on that. So that is what we say funding is very, very important. So for you to check the funding of your competitors, you can go to Crunchbase. From there, you'll be able to know how each company, the history regarding the funding of each company. The second one is acquisition. Like I said earlier, sometimes we observe very well. You see that some companies that are doing so well. Let me say, for example, Facebook now. Facebook bought WhatsApp. You understand? Yes, WhatsApp and Facebook. WhatsApp it's not a direct. You can't call it a direct competitor to Facebook. They are more like an indirect. But you know that these people, they are doing so well. They have a core products in. WhatsApp even started with not a lot of engineers, you understand? But that is why they said that sometimes if you have one special engineer, exceptional engineer, it's better than sometimes can be better than have I can call it an average, an average team of engineers. So that is what I said, that having a core product team, a very sound core product team is very, very essential. So sometimes some company may acquire another company because of this. Because on Crunchbase, you can easily get to know about about maybe this particular company just acquired this company and some other things like that. While the last thing I want to talk about is the new features and products launch, which is very, very important. Like I said, you're a product manager for Uber or Taxify. You have to be there. You have to be on. You have to know whether a particular features, maybe your competitors came up with the new features or some other things, or what people are saying about your product. There are a lot of places you can do this. You can go to mention.com, although you have to use page, you understand. When you go to mention.com, when you register yourself there, put in your company there, your details of products you are doing. Whenever anybody mentions about your products, you understand, either on Twitter or on Instagram or even on some other app, it will bring it to your email so that you can know what people are saying about your products. You understand? Then you can go on Google Alert as well. It's free. When you go on Google Alert, you can just maybe, for example, I can put alien car company, I can put taxi and some other things like that in Lagos. So whenever people whenever maybe my competitor mentions something about in that line about the new feature they are working on, you understand, I will get that alert, you understand, maybe they've already shipped it out to people. Or let me say, for example, now people are making some complaint, maybe on Google or some other thing, like regarding that product, in terms of problem, they are looking for solution. So I can also get alert. So all this information can help me to make informed decision whenever I'm placing my product backlog, you understand, I'm prioritizing which tickets should go into sprint backlog and some other things like that. Or even what should we do next? What should we work on next in a company? So that is exactly what I have. In conclusion, for all entrepreneurs and product managers, it is very important to understand the competitors in terms of weakness and strengths. A core marketing analysis is very paramount before embarking on development of any products. As this, we had resourceful efforts and help the team in building what matters. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for such a brilliant presentation, Nuruddin. Yeah, at this point, does anybody have questions for Nuruddin? You can go ahead right now.
It's like a question. It's more like I just, how do I explain what I want to say? Like what I was asked, that product management is sounding a lot like marketing. Do you understand? So I guess my question is not related to what you just said. I'm just saying, where do you draw the line being a marketer and being a brand? Because it sounds like marketing to me. Everything you say is what I do. So do you get my question?
Yeah, I get. I'll answer that. A product manager, you understand? Product manager is I can't call it a jack of all trade in a company, you understand? As a product manager, you are dealing with products in a company, and we are talking about the marketing. Marketing is dealing with that particular product. How do you want it to, how do you want it to sell? How do you want it to, all those things like that. But you as a product manager, you understand, for you to know what products you need to work on first, you have to work directly with stakeholders. You have to work directly with marketing team. Let's, for example, now marketing team tell us, okay, based on the what we see in the markets now, these are what customers are saying, or you understand, these are the new products we should work on. You lay that on to the product manager. You can tell as a marketing director, marketing, you can tell product manager, okay, product manager, we need this particular feature, and these are the reason and the reason we need it. You understand? That is the first one. The user base, based on the what user feedback, user can be asking for a particular feature. But you as a product manager, you need to take all these informations, you understand, and use your knowledge to prioritize about what do we need to build at this time, you understand, in terms of what is going to help us, what's going to make our customer more happy, and at the same time bring money to the company. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So as a product manager, sometimes you can be a product manager in B2B, maybe in a business-to-business company. Maybe the product you are building within your company is for another company. Sometimes you can be a product manager, but the product you are building is for what? Is for the users directly. You understand? The end consumers. So the point is, you as product manager, you are working directly with marketing team. You are working directly with developers. You are working with stakeholders. You are working you are even working. You are getting information from customers. I mean, user feedback. So that is what product manager, the manager is all about. So you need to get all this information for you to prioritize. You need to prioritize about what products are we working on, what features are we building at this moment. So you are getting your information from every other people. So you work with almost everybody in departments. Thank you. Do you understand that?
So much. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Sorry, can I add to that?
Yes, please.
Okay. To my best understanding, like you said, I believe product managers are jack of all trades in a company, but that depends on the company. So you can be in a company where you have a lot of employees and you have your marketing team separate, you have your business analysts, you have different role in that sense in tech that can actually help the product manager. In that case, the product manager will not have to do a lot of work. Okay, because really the project manager does not have a particular let me say job description. If you check anywhere, but however, if you see what's it called, job description for applications online, you will see different job description. That's because there's no particular job description. However, there are some important criteria, important things that you must know as a product manager, right? We talk about roadmap, talk about strategy, talk about marketing. But for a product manager that is in a company that has a marketing team, big marketing team, he will not have to do a lot. However, he needs to know one or two things about that product, the marketing part of that product, the operation. So he needs to work with everything, but he may not do a lot of work, a lot of research, because he has team already. But for someone that is not in that particular firm, okay, that does not have a marketing team, but they have operations in that sense, he will have to do a lot of research. We have to do a lot of work in that sense. Okay, so product managers, they do the work of, they understand one or two things in other departments in the team, the development team, the marketing, the operations, the analysis, different teams. They understand it, okay, but they don't have to go in depth, except they have to if the company we need them, or that particular product, to have them go in depth to do the marketing part.
All right, thank you, Olaoluwa. Thank you for that. Is there any more questions?
Okay. If there are no more questions, I don't know if you have any questions for us, the participants.
Well, I don't have any questions. I'm satisfied.
Okay, then. Yeah. Thank you so much for presenting, for a wonderful presentation. Yeah. Thank you, Rudy.